So I cleaned up Summer Wells's charts. I know I don't have anyone in here yet. I'm having a hard time saving it. I'm not really sure why it's not allowing me to save it. My laptop has been acting really weird ever since I got hacked. I don't know if I'm not signed into the account properly or not, but when I hit save, when I try to hit save the map, it just keeps like thinking. It just keeps going in circles, and it doesn't allow me to save it. So I need to get this recorded because I hope that I can keep this map. So this is Summer Wells Location Astrology. Okay, this is her map. At 3 o'clock, when I think, hey Aggie, hey Chloe Jade. Okay, so I cleaned up the map. I cleaned up my lines. They were really, my lines were really sloppy, guys. So I cleaned them up, and I'm hoping that you guys can see it a little bit better. Maybe I need to darken it. I have my fan running. I hope it's not too loud. And the North Node did map out Summer at the swim hole, which I find that pretty fascinating, considering that the swim hole is part of her destiny. So yeah, I thought that was pretty crazy. That blew my mind, that we mapped out the swim hole. Does that look a little bit better, the screen? It's good to see you guys. Love you all very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for accepting me. You know, I know I'm a little bit scattered-brained. I know I'm not the best YouTube host out there, but I appreciate your kindness. Thank you for being kind to me and accepting me out here on these YouTube streets. I know these streets are pretty crazy. So here is the swim hole right here, guys. This is the North Node, and it takes me right where they were at, including the roads that they would have probably had to take to get into there, which blew my mind. Aggie, when I sent you those pictures, when you click on it, does it clear up, or is it just very blurry? The pictures that I sent. I don't know how I can get them not to be blurry. I got to figure out how to maybe take a screenshot of my computer screen. I don't know how to do that either. I'm really not tech savvy, guys. Like, I just now like started trying to do Facebook and stuff. I just sent Aggie my first or second friend request on Facebook. I'm out of it. Like, I'm so out of the loop. So hello. Good to see you. Okay, so so this is the last known location. Well, not the last known location. You know, the photographs were taken of Summer that day that she went swimming at this location. Okay, so this pie is the North Node and the 8th house of death. Map out this whole pie here. Now, of course, astrology has been used for hundreds of years to tell us about a crime, a missing piece of jewelry. Astrology has been used to predict many things. Wars, storms that are coming, can predict your possible time frame when you might have an illness or when something might happen to you. Especially, you know, horary astrology is a form of criminal astrology. It's very ancient. You can study William Lilly, Nostradamus. He's another astrologer that was able to predict many things using astrology. Now, I am not presenting this to you as fact, okay? This is just astrology. However, there are plenty of reports where astrology does tell you where your missing jewelry could be, your missing necklace, or your missing earring, or your missing ring. It can give a direction. It can tell you the area that it's going to be found in. And this is a form of mapping out the planets, tracing the trajectory of the planets the day of a crime. Okay? So a time frame, it's a little snapshot of the planets that were over top of Summer's head. So here is her house, and you can see how I cleaned up all the lines. This is 110 Ben Hill Road, Summer's house, okay? So you can see what was over her head at 3 o'clock, all right? So, because I picked 3 o'clock, because I believe that after like 2:45, 2:50, 3 o'clock, 3:15, 3:30, 3:45, I feel like Summer is in trouble, okay? It's a timestamp on her astrology that you know, it's grim, okay? There's a lot of, it's just not good, okay? It's a timestamp on her astrology chart that doesn't look good. Of course, we want to keep hope alive. We always want to think of Summer as alive. But, you know, at this particular time on her astrology, to me, looking at that time frame, the astrology paints a very grim situation for Summer, okay? So there's some important markers and time like mile markers, okay? So I'm going to try my best to try to explain it to you. Okay. So let me get you up close. The moon is, so there's multiple lines that represent Summer, and there's multiple lines that represent an open enemy to Summer. There's multiple mile markers. Now, these mile markers can be indications, the circles can be little indications of a mile marker, and it's like a stamp, okay? That the astrology is saying, hey, pay attention to this mile marker here. So I have a few, okay? So I'll write it down just so it doesn't get too confusing. Okay. I have mile markers 1.3, so that can be 1.3, that can be 13 yards, 130 yards, okay? 1.3 miles, all right? Up to 13 miles. So that's what these little circles are, okay? These little circles are 13 feet, 13 yards, 1.3 miles, okay? Up to 13 miles. So 1.3 to 13 miles. The other mile marker that we had was 1.5 to 15 miles. And the other mile marker, which is also on the 911 call, okay, because this is the 3 p.m. chart. The other mile marker that I have is 2.6. So that's 2.6 miles to 26 miles out. Okay? So that's what these circles are. What that means is that there could be somebody that lives in between here. We could, you know, I do have two suspects mapping out in between 1.3 and 1.5. Okay? So I don't want to like blow them up on YouTube though. Now, if you happen to see your house on here, you know, if a line goes through your house, that does not mean that you are a kidnapper, okay? It just means that you may have seen something, or that the kidnapper or the parents or somebody involved in this crime are involved in the situation that day, drove past your house or was in that area, okay? So I don't want anyone to think that just because a line goes through their yard means that, you know, you're guilty. But if a line does go through your yard and you happen to be watching this, I would really appreciate for you to search that area that the line goes through. It wouldn't hurt to search the area that these lines are going through, okay? Especially through here. It is mapping out Ben Hill Road. Like, it blows my mind how amazing astrology is. It is even mapping out the end of their driveway, the moon. Here's the end of their driveway right here. That's their driveway. And look where the mile marker is at. It's right on their damn driveway, guys. I can't make this shit up. Like, how does astrology do that? But it does, okay? That is how amazing astrology is. It is, one of the mile markers is going right through their driveway. You guys see that? This is Tennessee. Rogersville, Tennessee. This is the Summer Wells case. If you read the description, I have all the information in the description for Summer Wells, who is a missing 5-year-old child. She went missing in 2021 from Tennessee, June 15th. She has not been seen since. She disappeared basically in the middle of nowhere. As you can see there, it's Tennessee. It's considered like the holler area. In the Beach Creek area, Rogersville, Tennessee. It's in the middle of nowhere. This is a dead-end road as well. So I would think somebody would need to know that Summer was here. I do not think it was some random person that just came up and took her. Okay? In my opinion. All right? If it was a legit kidnapping, then they know either the parents or they know that Summer was there. If it's an accident, you know, this is possibly some prime areas that could be searched for where, of course, we want to keep hope alive, but where a body could possibly be located or hidden, okay? So, or if she was kidnapped, where she could be located, okay? Where they could be hiding her, or where her actual physical remains could be found, okay? So I'm really trying to tiptoe around it. I really don't feel like getting attacked because I know that they're going really hard on spiritual channels right now. So I'm really trying to be careful. I have my own opinions about the family. That doesn't matter how I feel about Don Wells or how I feel about Candace. That doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. What matters is what the astrology is trying to tell us. That's what matters, okay? And what it's mapping out. So the line that rules her destiny takes us straight over to where she was swimming that day. Over here. This pie here. Which is also where the Patrick Ford Henry Dam is. That whole area there that we've been interested in. The 8th house of death takes me right through it. So it makes a pie. I don't know if you can see the pie there. So this is where they were swimming that day. There's the North Node. Hi, Karen. It's good to see you. So it maps out this section here, Chase Bend, that, you know, we've been interested in. The 8th house of death is right there. The other line I'm interested in is her line of Saturn, her DNA. There's an actual asteroid that's called DNA. And it's pretty crazy because it rules, it can tell us where someone's evidence might be found. Evidence of a victim, okay? Whether that be a cell phone that has their DNA on it, whether it's clothing that has their DNA on it, or whether it's them. Another line that we like to pay attention to is Saturn. Why? Because Saturn rules the hair, the skin, and the teeth, okay? Your blood vessels, your muscles, and things like that. So that takes me over here. DNA, it's pretty crazy because the planet Saturn rules your DNA, and DNA is following Saturn. Sometimes that happens. Like you see the planet that rules a physical body, possibly a deceased body, and then you have the asteroid DNA right here just hugging it, okay? So, let me get close to that as well so you guys can see. I pushed the lines all the way out to this river. I am very interested in the river because Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius when summer goes missing. Just like right now, Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, which is why we have so many victims showing up in water. This is why we have so many victims showing up without their shoes on right now. Why? Because Saturn is in Pisces. And Pisces rules the feet. Okay? Pisces rules the feet, and Pisces rules water. It's Poseidon. That's why I've been telling you guys to please be careful around the water, because this is when Poseidon, it's like you get freak accidents around water. Like just crazy things happen around water. When Neptune is in retrograde, that's another time when I'm like, please be careful around the water. Be careful around the water because Poseidon is in retrograde. So that's another time frame that I'm always very careful of the water. If my kids are playing in the water or if they're out on a boat, I'm freaking out. I'm like, please be careful. Just, you know, just be careful because that's when freakish accidents happen with water. Okay, so when summer went missing, Saturn was in the sign of Aquarius, which rules fresh waterways, sewers, ditches that have water running through them, higher elevated areas that are scenic, areas that are beautiful, rolling hills, okay? Areas that are high elevated, where there's lots of birds. Usually there's, you know, a lot of birds. She went missing off a top of a hill. That's all Aquarius. Where she went missing from her home, that's Aquarius as well, okay? So Pluto is another planet that rules death, and the IC line takes me to another area that I have a suspect on, okay? I do have a suspect that lives in between these lines here that is a pedophile. That I have been kind of curious about, and they do show up in the first house. There is another suspect that's a violent criminal that's riding the moon, which is another indicator of summer, okay? A second indicator of where a possible missing person could be, okay? And he is riding the moon, and he's mapping out on this map as well. Their house is mapping out on the map. Like, it's actually mapping out on a mile marker and a planet. So where you have a mile marker and the line of a planet crossing, I think those are hot spots, right? So, like here, 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 here. If anyone is suspicious of someone that lives in these areas, you know, let's say you've been suspicious of a suspect in the Summer Wells case, okay? And if it just so happens that the mile marker crosses where the planets cross, it's a hot spot. I hope that makes sense. Like, these areas in here would be a hot spot. These areas in here would be a hot spot. Now, again, there's lots of neighbors that live on this road. If your house is mapping out on this map, I am not accusing you of doing anything to summer. But if you're in this little circle here, or in this little circle here, I would really like the neighbors to search their backyards. You know, something could have been missed. I mean, let's say she did wander off. Let's say she did go missing, okay? These little areas in here are important to me. These areas here are important to me. This moon line is very important to me. It maps out that whole road, okay? That's crazy to me. That blows my mind that we're mapping out where this child, the roads, okay? Like, that's crazy, right? That's mapping out the road. Look at that. That's her house, where the marker is. And that's the moon line. The moon line shoots down here. That's her driveway. Shoo. You can't make this up, okay? This line here rules summer, and this line, I believe this, it's either this line or this line. Venus is ruling summer at this time. So at 3 o'clock, Venus is ruling summer, and then it goes to Mars. Then Mars starts to rule summer. So this pie here is very important to me because it rules an open enemy to summer, and it rules summer, okay? The moon rules summer. DNA is another spot that could be connected to summer. Saturn is another spot that can be connected to summer. Pluto is another line, rules death. That could be connected to summer as well. I don't want to think of her as deceased, but, you know, if we happen to be looking for a body, then that's why I would want to map out Pluto, okay? Does that make sense, guys? What line is the most common for finding the victim? So we find the victims usually on... So basically, this is the whole crime, okay? So it's mapping out everything that took place that day, okay? So it's mapping out, if there's a kidnapper, it's going to map out possibly where the kidnapper lives, where the kidnapper works, where the kidnapper likes to go fishing, where the kidnapper frequently hangs out, okay? If there's a kidnapping. If she wandered off, it's going to map that out too. It's going to map out whatever roads were taken that day. It's going to map out witnesses. It's going to map out it's going to map out everything, okay? Even areas that they have searched. Just like her destiny line takes us to the swim hole, okay? The North Node, which is a victim's joining her destiny, is the North Node. The 8th house of death is not usually something that most of us map out, but I wanted to try to get this pie, to make a pie of the 8th house of death with the North Node, to try to make a little pie there because the North Node mapped it out. So that's why I wanted to do that. Mercury can also rule communication, but it also rules her brothers on the chart. The sun can rule a father, but it can also rule a life force, a vital force. So there's multiple lines. So I would say the moon line is important. Venus, the moon line is important. The open enemy line is important. Venus is important, okay? The AC line, the IC line, and the DC line, because that rules an open enemy to summer. The IC line is at the end of the matter, all right? In the womb and in the tomb in astrology. So that's why I wanted to map that line out as well. I can't narrow down one line. All that I can tell you is that all of these lines have a meaning. So if there's an area that you are very curious about, and if there's an area where you have a suspect in mind, okay, and it just so happens to that you have a suspect in mind, okay, a lot of astrologers, what we'll do is, we first immediately get everybody's birthday, the parents' birthday. If it's a child, I want to look at the parents' astrology first. And I'll be honest, their astrology isn't the best, all right? But I'm not accusing them of doing anything to their daughter. I'm just saying that their astrology isn't the best, okay? Their natal charts. You put it on top of the crime chart. Then you start with the suspects, okay? Then you get their birthdays, and you put that over top of the crime chart, a synastry chart. Then if you don't have any matches, then you start to go down the line of suspects in the area, pedophiles in the area when it's a missing child. Then you go down the list of pedophiles that are in a 5-mile radius within your circle. So that's kind of how I've been doing it. But for summer, there's so many suspects that are mentioned. I have another map where I have, like every neighbor, Fred Hill, Jody Sue Brown, where Hunter lives, where Allie was, where they went swimming. I'm not going to blow every suspect's personal information up on YouTube. I'm not going to do that to them, all right? I'm just saying, you guys at home can do a screenshot of this, and if you are suspicious of someone and they happen to map out, well, then that kind of can tell you that, maybe they're maybe they're involved, or possibly know something, or that they witnessed something that day, or they saw something that day, right? So that's how you kind of break it down. But I don't want to use astrology to hurt anyone, destroy anyone. That's not my job. This is the police's job. Honestly, if law enforcement wanted to look at this, and they do have a suspect in mind for Summer Wells, if they truly believe that they are curious about someone, okay, and then their house just so happens to show up on this map. So this is at 13 miles. This is at 15 miles. And then out there is 26 miles, right? And then in here is 1.3 miles, 2.6 miles. You get the gist of it, all the way out to 26 miles. Does that make sense? Hey, Brooke, good to see you, love. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if you guys appreciate astrology and, appreciate the work, it takes a couple of hours to do this for me because I'm not fast. I'm you can Cash App me. I do have Cash App. I do accept donations. It's greatly appreciated. You can leave me a thumbs up and a like and a subscribe. That is all greatly appreciated. I know I forget to talk about myself like that. So, so I do find it very fascinating that it is mapping out areas that have been mentioned in her case already. So, thank you, Brooke. I appreciate it. Love you, honey. So glad you're here. I don't know what I would do without Brooke, Aggie, and Sam, and Amy. You guys are all great. I appreciate you all so much. Very grateful that I have people here helping and supporting me navigate YouTube. It's a pretty dark place. crazy. But I'm trying my best. Okay. All right. So I am very curious. I mapped out 2.6 because 2.6 shows up at the 911 call as well. So that's why I mapped out 2.6 as well. So even in between this area here, if anyone if any suspects live in these areas here on the map as well, I'm curious, you know, it's another prime area. But I am very curious about the river, because I pushed it out to the river because it's why? Because Saturn's in Aquarius. So I'm pushing it out to highway bridges, railroad bridges that have water going underneath of them, highway bridges that have water going underneath of them, dams, rivers, creeks, lakes, ponds, things like that, okay? Because in areas that are mountainous, higher elevated areas, things like that, okay? So I'm pushing it out. I push these areas out through here because of Warrior State Park, all right? So these planets that all surrounded Warrior State Park, I pushed them out because it's a last known location of where our victim was at. So I pushed them past the 26-mile marker, okay? This was a lot of running around that Candace did that day. Like, it just blows my mind how far they went that day. It's crazy. So, I love this because it shows truth and you don't have to accuse anyone. We can see it ourselves. Yeah, I really don't want to accuse anyone. That's not my job. That is law enforcement's job. But what this can do is, if you guys have someone in mind, okay, let's say you really truly feel that it's so-and-so, and then it shows up on the map, well, then, you know, that might clarify something for you. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's true. It just means that they're mapping out. For whatever reason, they're mapping out, okay? And I have a lot of suspects that aren't your popular suspects, all right? Like I told you, I don't have Jody Sue Brown in the first house. I don't have Fred Hill in the first house. I don't have Andy Bernard in the first house. I don't have Hunter in the first house. None of them are on Algol. None of them are up the moon's ass, okay? I have Don Wells riding the moon. I have Candace in the first house. I'm not accusing the parents. I'm just saying they're in awkward positions on the chart, all right? That does not mean that they're guilty, but they are in awkward positions, okay? They just kind of like, you know, they're just not in the best spots that I would like to see them in, okay? And the first house basically rules what's in front of the victim or who witnessed something with the victim that day. And I do have a pedophile show up in that first house. I also have a couple of other people on her chart. This asteroid right here, he's not a good asteroid either. I mean, he also rules the water. It's a water monster, okay? Someone that, you know, it can represent drowning, can represent, it's typhoid. So it's not the best asteroid to show up there either. And during the 911 call, I believe it's like riding the AC line. So this is at 3 o'clock. It just comes into the first house, which rules the victim. So I have at least 5 names that appear in the first house, including Summer's name. So I have Summer's Field, I have Candace show up in here, and I have other suspects that are not your typical names, okay? They're people that are mentioned, but not as like our prime suspects, all right? And that Pluto, that's that 26th degree that I'm charting, okay? 2.2 as well. 2.6, 2.2 as well. Let me do 22 miles and 2.2. Give me 1 second. I should map that out as well. So that gives me another little area too. Narrows it down a little bit more. This area all in here. Junie doesn't want to call people out on her live, sweetie. Safety issues for all. Yes, because people are crazy on YouTube, okay? And, you know, everyone's like, oh, Fred Hill's guilty. Oh, Jody Sue Brown's guilty. Oh, Andy Bernard's guilty. Oh, they're guilty. They're guilty. I don't want to do that, right? And all the parents are guilty. Oh, I don't want to have anyone show up at anyone's house with pitchforks and act crazy at their house. You know, I'm really trying to protect everyone, including the Wells, okay? Regardless of how I personally feel about the Wells, that doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit here and say, they did it, blah, 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 blah. Like, because I can't use astrology to harm anybody like that. I just can't, all right? I mean, we just have to be responsible, okay? Because I'm literally mapping out houses and locations, okay? So I need to be very clear with you guys. If I'm mapping out somebody's house, that does not mean that they're the killer. It can mean that they saw something or that they should check their yard because there's a possibility that she might be back there, you know, like that she wandered off, okay? And that's all I'm saying. I'm not out to have like a witch hunt or anything like that, okay? I'm trying to be responsible to protect the general public, okay? So that's all. But this can give us a direction, okay, of a direction of where she could be located. Again, I'm going to plug Kirsty McIntosh, okay? Understanding the Crime Chart, all right? Criminal Astrology Volume 1 by Kirsty McIntosh, all right? She has a channel on YouTube. She teaches you how to do this. And it gives us a direction. The planets give a direction of where somebody can be located as well. So we have, for the AC line, we have Libra ruling the AC line, and Aries and Taurus ruling the DC line and the 7th house. So Scorpio is in the 1st house, Libra is ruling the AC line, and Aries is ruling the DC line, which isn't good, and Taurus is ruling the 7th house. Hey, Missy, it's good to see you. Yes, yes, please subscribe to Kirsty, because none of this would be possible without her. Okay, guys? Like, honestly. So, she teaches us how to do it on her channel. She teaches us how to map out the planets. In her book, she gives you the directions, okay? The quadrants. Not Cancer, 90 degrees, right? Aries, 0 degrees. East, okay? Cancer is north. Libra, 180 is west. And Sagittarius is south, 240 degrees. So she gives us a direction. Let me find it in the book. And she teaches you how to break down charts in here as well. So she went missing in Libra at 3. Well, I don't know if she went missing at 3 o'clock, but she's being ruled by Libra at 3 o'clock. Libra rules places like windmills, upper areas. Libra rules hills, okay? If it's inside a house, it's like the attic, or in like woodsheds, where wood is kept. The upper rooms in the house, chambers, little houses and closets. Then she goes into Scorpio. After 3 o'clock, she goes into Scorpio. That rules basements. That rules watered areas where it's mucky and dirty water. Low to the ground areas, right? So the astrology is mapping out between 3 o'clock and the 911 call. She is sitting in the first house. She is being ruled by Libra and Scorpio. So it's telling us that she's in a higher... The astrology is telling us that she's going to be found in a higher elevated area. She's on a hill, okay? And Scorpio, after when the 911 call comes in, she's being ruled by Scorpio. So that is areas that have shallow, murky, dirty water, basements, areas that are scary, areas that are dark, okay? It can be that she's taken, hidden, okay, hidden away. And then the open enemy is being ruled by Aries, which isn't good. That can be anger, rage, passion, okay? And it does rule head injuries. Think of the 2 rams. It also rules cars, all right? Aries does rule cars. And then it goes into Taurus. Actually, there's a point after 4 that Algol is sitting right on top of the AC line around 4:30, between 4:30 and 4:45. Algol is just planted, like right here, which Algol is a demon, okay? He's an alcoholic demon. That's not good either. So there's a couple of timestamps in Summer's chart that is absolutely heartbreaking, okay? You know, Algol always lives at the 26 degrees of Taurus, all right? He's an alcoholic demon. And when he shows up on crime charts, it's not good, okay? Can mean that alcohol is involved in her crime somehow. Or that there's some type of head injury, neck injury, mass catastrophe. It's not good, okay? There's just things in her chart that are very heartbreaking, including this asteroid right here. It's not good. I'll Google it for you. Typhon, I think it is. Am I saying that right, Missy? Typhus or Typhon? Or Typhoon? I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's a Greek, it's a Greek monster, okay? It's a monster. That's not good either. It's telling us that something bad is happening to our victim, okay? On the astrology level. I'm not saying that that's fact. I'm just saying as on an astrological level, it's just not good at the exact time of a crime, all right? So it's a monster, you know, he's basically like the father of all monsters, okay? Again, you know, volcanic forces, things that are hot. There is a heat. Water, there's heat, there's water. These things play a role in her charts as well. Typhon can fly, breathe fire, and control the wind. Children, Typhon's children include scattered objects. So, I mean, you think about it, it's like an eruption, like something happens, okay? Something happens around 3 o'clock, because that's when he shows up in the first house. He's just entering the first house. He just crossed the door, and he just came in the doorway at 3 o'clock. Because the planets, okay, so we read the charts this way, right? But the planets are actually moving counterclock, the opposite direction. So the planets are moving in this direction. So, but we read the chart in the other direction. But he just, like, if you could think, like, if this is a doorway, that black line right there, if that's a doorway, he just crosses over at exactly 3 o'clock, okay? Where it's affecting our victim now. That house rules the victim. It's also a centaur. It can mean fighting, you know, like fighting, like there's some type of, there's an uproar. Something happens, okay? It's just not the best. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's not good. Something happens, okay? That's why I'm mapping out 3 o'clock. Okay, so Libra, here's Kirsty's book where she gives us the directions, okay? So Libra is ruled by Venus. That rules the southeast direction. And Aries is Mars, and that rules the south direction, okay? So the DC line is ruling the south direction, which it rules the open enemy, okay? And then Taurus, which is Venus, southeast direction as well. Scorpio, which is the ancient planet of Mars, is also the south direction. So you have to know what the ancient planets are, guys. So Scorpio is also Mars. So that's the south direction. Okay, hope that helps. Yummy. Ooh, feta and olives and gyros. Yummy, yum. That sounds so good. Yes, the Mediterranean diet is very good for you. I wish I could live off of it. I've been craving salads since it's gotten so hot. Like, I don't even want to go in the kitchen and cook. It's so hot. All right, do you guys have any questions about the map? Euros, yeah. It's very healthy for you. I think it's like one of the most heart healthy diets that you can have. Greek diet, Mediterranean diet, very good for you. Yeah. So I don't know why I can't save it though. That's why I'm really trying to get it recorded, because I can't save it. I'm not sure why it's not letting me save it. I feel like I'm gonna cry because I did all this work and I can't save it. That's why I really wanted to get it like recorded. So this line rules the victim. This line rules Candace and Summer, all right? This line rules an enemy to Summer, and this line rules Summer. This whole pie here is important, I think. This whole area. The moon and Mars. So if someone was, you know, stalking Candace and Summer, well, there's the enemy right there. And they all meet going back, you know, right to the house. So you can kind of see that too. Where all these lines come into play. Missy, did you see the 8th house of death? And did you see, Missy, it maps out your area that you've been really curious about, sweetie. Here's the swimming hole. There's this Warriors State Park right here. So there's Patrick, you know, the Patrick Henry Dam right here. Hope you can see. There's the dam. This is the area that Missy has been mapping out. This is the North Node, which rules her joining destiny. And this is the 8th house of death. I mapped out the 8th house of death because I wanted to try to get a pie in just to see where it would take me. Plus, I have a lot of planets that are just kind of like hanging out in that area in the 8th house. Uranus is in the 8th house of death, and Uranus is over here. This is the line of Uranus right here. So I am very interested in the river because it does keep mapping out areas in the river, okay? And if there's a bridge that's nearby this line, like see, look here, this bridge, I am very interested in that bridge, okay? Why? Because it's close to a planet, and because Saturn is in Aquarius. So it rules highway bridges, okay? And it's close to my line. So this bridge, I would be interested in. This bridge right here, there's another bridge here. I'm interested in it. I'm interested in areas of the river because it's fresh running water. That's all Aquarius. Scenic areas that are beautiful. So do you see the line here? And how close these highway bridges are to it? And this is a line of Uranus, which rules tragic events, tragedy, shocking, something unexpected happening to our victim. Okay? So each line has a role that it plays in the whole crime chart. Whoops. Shit. Hold on. I'm going to delete that. Yeah, you have to use this little hand to move it. So this area here, this is all Uranus, right? In the 8th house of death. So I am interested in it. I am curious about it. If this is like, I'm not sure what that is, but it might be a bridge. If that's a bridge, and then it goes all the way up. To the North Node. So this whole line here, this whole section of river I'm interested in. I mean, we are talking years now. If she was put in water, she could have moved with the current, you know? So that's why I want to consider the whole pie section. Here's another bridge right here. Very interested in this bridge right here. Okay, guys? Another hotspot. It's on her line of destiny. It rules her destiny. So there's another area that I'm very curious about, okay? So I can't really exactly pinpoint one, you know, it's not like a crop circle. Astrology isn't going to give me like this huge arrow that's like right here, like a crop circle that says, you know, pointing right here. It gives us a few hotspots, a couple of areas that are prime locations. Here's another bridge right here. This bridge right here, oh yeah, very interested in it. Very interested in this bridge here too. Okay? There's another bridge right here. It's another spot that could be an indication of where she could be, because Aquarius rules railroad bridges that have water going underneath of them, highway bridges that have water going underneath of them, any type of bridge, any type of water source that's fresh water, okay? Not the ocean. The ocean is something different. Ocean is different. This is telling me a freshwater source, possibly, that she could be near a freshwater source. If she's not in the water, she's really close to it, I would say. As far as the astrology is concerned, that's not my own personal opinion. That's just what these planets rule, okay? Oh, here's the other book that I use, Forensic Astrology for Everyone by Caroline Lully. Trying to give you a description. Right, she also does the measurements and the directions as well, guys. So Aries rules the east, and Libra rules the west. So the AC line, which rules the victim, is east. So, and then, I'm sorry, the open enemy to summer is an east direction. So we could have someone that, if someone did take summer, they could have been coming in from the east. If someone did come, if there isn't a legit kidnapping, okay, they could have been coming in from the east. Or north by east. Because between 3 and 6, we have Scorpio and Libra. And then we have Aries and Taurus. Okay? So east, south by east. Or we have west, north by east. These directions here. All right, so this is areas that Aquarius rules, okay? Possible location of a body. Aquarius, like Capricorn, has general rulership over deep wells, quarries, mines, and places that are involved in the extraction of minerals from the earth under the traditional rulership of Saturn. It also Hold on, I'm trying to get you guys so you guys can see. Sorry. I shake. I'm sorry. I lost my place. Where am I at? Extraction of minerals from Earth. Under the traditional rulership of Saturn, it also has signification over land that has recently been dug. As an air sign, Aquarius relates to places that are high off the ground or above the general eye line. Outside, it signifies hills, okay? Again, she went missing off of a hill. Right here. Or land that is uneven with an eccentric skyline. The 19th century was given signification over the aviation. So airports, things like that. There is a gas station in the South called Flying J gas station. I think that gas station probably would rule under Aquarius as well. Anything related to, you know, basically airplanes, people that fly planes for crops and things like that. It rules basically scenic areas, fresh waterways, ponds, quarries, caves, sewers, rivers, dams, especially a dam, because Aquarius is electricity. Okay, he's the sky god of lightning. So that's why. Flying J is more like a truck stop. Yeah. I did another chart for that other girl, and she showed up with something with Aquarius too. She went missing with Aquarius, and she went missing from the Flying J truck stop. And again, Flying J, it has the name flying in it. Flying. Anything that has to do with air, okay? Flying through the air. Bullets fly through the air. Things like that, okay? Wind. Swings. Airplanes. And the name of that gas station that she went missing was Flying J. So that blew my mind. So, okay, so mile markers, we have 1.3 miles to 13 miles, 1.5 to 15 miles, 2.2 miles to 22 miles, 2.6 miles to 26 miles. These are just little mile markers that the astrology is mapping out, okay? So if you are suspicious of someone, okay, and you just Google their address from Summer's house, and if it just so happens to be 15 miles, okay, and then you were like, Junie said 15 miles. Holy shit, they live exactly 15 miles away from Summer, okay? That's kind of how we do this, all right? So that's what I've been doing. All the suspects' names that you guys gave me, I have them on these maps. And then I'll type their address in Google Maps and then trace it back to Summer's house. And if it matches any of these mile markers, I'm like, holy shit. Then I put a little check next to their name, because I'm like, that's suspicious. Like, they're mapping out exactly the distance of a mile that the astrology is giving us. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. So Aquarius does rule, anything that's hilly, uneven ground, quarries, caves, rivers, lakes, ponds. And then she goes into Scorpio. So that's like murky water, dark water, okay? Not the best kind of water that you want to be in, all right? Sometimes it's water that has trash around it. Like it might be dirty. Because after 4 o'clock, she goes into Scorpio. So there is a lot of water in her chart. Even when I look at her, that little thing I like to look at, this little area here, this little box for looking for a body location. So we have water and earth. air and earth. Her AC line is in air, which is, you know, she went missing off the top of a hill. And then there's all this water down here. So that's why I think, you know, she's in Aquarius. She's in an air sign, but she could be near a freshwater source. I mean, if you ever look at even the symbol of Aquarius, it looks like running water. It's a symbol of fresh running water, okay? A current. Electricity is a current. That's why Aquarius rules dams. Dams that generate electricity, okay? That symbol of Aquarius is moving water, something that moves quickly. Train tracks, even if the train tracks are gone, like I know there's a couple places in Tennessee that have these old train tracks, but they've ripped up the tracks, that still rules Aquarius areas because train tracks once were laid there. So it still represents movement, power, current, a concurrent, okay? A conduit of energy, something that moves. So that's why Aquarius also rules railroad tracks. Even if the railroad has long been removed, okay? That's the symbol of Aquarius. Even DNA is in Aquarius and riding like Pisces. It's really close to Pisces. So that's why I really feel like she's near freshwater or in freshwater. I hope that makes sense. How I came up with that. This being a distance that is astrology points out. Yes. So it's like it's a mile marker. That's all. Okay. She can still be past. I know I that was probably confusing when I said up to 26 miles. She can still be out past the 26 mile marker, but we could have something happened at the 26 mile marker. There might be some evidence at a 26 mile marker, or that's where the suspect lives, but you push the planet out to a landmark. Like I pushed all these planets out to Warriors State Park, okay, because that's where she was last seen. I pushed all these planets out to this river because her astrology tells me to do that. Why? Because fresh running water is in her chart. So even like I'm not going to stop the planet's trajectory. So I'm mapping the mathematics of the planet's trajectory. But just because the mathematics says to stop at 26 miles, I'm going to push it out to where I see highway bridges and landmarks that match the astrology, okay? Which is fresh water, highway bridges, railroad bridges, things like that, okay? So that's why I push these planets out because of where she was last seen. And I'm very curious about the river. I'm very curious about any freshwater source in Summer Wells' case, okay? I hope that makes sense. But on one of those mile markers, you could have a suspect live. That could be where a suspect works. That could be where a suspect frequents, where he goes fishing, where he goes and has a drink every Saturday at the bar, or where he goes and plays video games with his friend every Saturday. It can map out areas like that too, okay? I've seen it do that on a couple of crime charts. I've seen these maps map out a parking lot of where it had an entrance where you can only come in one way, and then I saw it map out Pluto, which is the line of death, out the exit. So, and her car was left stranded in that parking lot. So there was only one way in and one way out. So the AC line came in with the victim, and then I saw the line of death leave that parking lot. It went right out the exit of that parking lot. That really freaked me out. That's what this astrology does. Knowing that her car was left there, she would have had to have left in somebody's car somehow. So, yeah, that's kind of how this stuff works. It can be giving me an in and out direction, a road that a killer or a kidnapper or the parents took, okay? If the parents are involved, it could trace out areas that the parents were at. If the parents are guilty, I'm not saying that they are guilty or not guilty. I'm just saying if they are involved, if a neighbor is involved, if a suspect is involved, and if a suspect's house or address or where a suspect works is mapped out, then, you know, and then if it matches these mile markers, 2.2 miles, 1.3 miles, 1.5 miles, 2.6 miles, 15 miles, 26 miles, 13 miles, 22 miles. Okay? If any of those mile markers match where a killer or a suspect happens to live, well, then that kind of tells you the answer. You know, allegedly, okay? I still don't want to, like, say, I don't want to accuse anyone, but you get what I'm saying, right, guys? Yes, being a distance that the astrology points out. Yes. Yes. Exactly, Brooke. Brooke gets it. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I'm still going to try to figure out why I can't save this map. But I sent pictures to Brooke and Aggie and Amy, just so I can keep a record of it, because my like memory card is full. So I'm trying to get a map of it. And when I do the 911 call, I'm just going to go over top, and just put, like, here in, like, you know, 911 call, like in the things. So, like, the other moon line is going to probably take me here. The other line of the DNA will probably move me over. Saturn might move just a little bit. Saturn's super slow, but the moon and the sun, Pluto is slow as hell. The moon moves fast, Mercury moves fast, and the sun moves fast. And Mercury. So I might map them out a little, you know, when I do the 911 call on top of this. Theris is conjunct the moon. Yeah. Yep. That's not good either. It's not good for summer. I think I'm saying his name right. That's another centaur. There are some good centaurs. Don't think that all the centaurs are evil. But, you know, they're half beast, half man, okay? So, Chiron was the best centaur of all. That's why we always talk about Chiron on your natal chart. Chiron is very important on your natal chart. He is the wounded healer, a wound that never heals, and he's how you heal from past over pain from your past or, you know, present, future. He's a little K with a circle on it. He's another centaur. Theris is another, I think I'm saying his name right. It's a hard one to pronounce. Theris or Theras. It's spelled like dare us, basically. Therus. He was a hunter, kind of like a stalker, okay? A little bit of stalking. Hera is also conjunct the moon as well, which can have some jealousy. You know, there's some jealousy there. Dysfunction in a relationship as well. So that's riding the moon as well. And Don Wells and Candace are represented. Don Wells' asteroid is smack dab on top of the moon too. Candace is part of the moon. So we have Hera there too, which can mean there's some type of tension in that marriage. I don't know what that is. I'm not accusing the parents of anything, but there's just some type of dysfunction in that marriage. And that shows up as well. Hera is there, including Theris, which can be someone that gets a head injury, okay? Because he would hunt bears, and he would wait for them to come out of their cave, and he would just bludgeon them to death over the top of the head with a bat or a club, okay? I'm not saying that that's what happened to Summer. I'm saying that it can represent some type of head injury. Aries as well can rule a head injury. Aries as well can rule like an accident, okay? Trauma to the upper part of the body, all right? I'm not saying that that's what happened. Remember, all suspects are innocent until proven guilty on my channel. I don't want to accuse anyone of doing anything to Summer. All I'm trying to do is just tell you about the planets, okay? And what they mean, okay? Hera is the mother of a kidnapped daughter. Yeah, she is, but she's also the jealous wife. She's also represents marriage. And she was married to Zeus. I mean, talk about the most dysfunctional couple on the planet. I wonder if my marriage shows up as Hera and Zeus. It's a very dysfunctional couple. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, Hera can also represent that as well. Hera did some crazy shit, man. She did some... The whole story with Hera, the North Star, I'm sorry, not the North Star, the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, that story is absolutely heartbreaking, and Hera is involved in that story too. The Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, the Native Americans call it the little bear and the big bear, mother bear, little bear. It's an ancient Greek mythology story. Of course, Jupiter gets somebody pregnant. He takes, to save her, he turns her into the Big Dipper, the big bear. He turns her into a bear. She's living out in the woods as a bear. And Zeus brings him back to, the palace. And Hera is raising him. I think which child is that? It's not Achilles. It's Artem, the guy with the arrow, the hunter, Aramades or something like that. Anyway, Hera knows that she's a bear, and she knows that the mother is a bear, and she sends her son, this boy, out to go kill his mother, to go hunt his mother and shoot her with an arrow. And just when he's about ready to shoot his own mother, he sees the bear, and the bear's like, knows it's her son, and her son is getting ready to shoot her with an arrow. Zeus comes along and he turns him into the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. It's a very, very sad story, and Hera is part of that. Like, Hera is... Damn, she's messed up. She did some pretty crazy stuff. I think it's Aramades, I think it is. Aramades. No, I'll get the right word, the right name. Yeah. This is it. See, it's a bear. The constellation is a bear. The Big Dipper and the Little Dipper is the big bear, the mama bear, and her son. They both get turned into bears by Zeus. Callisto. That was the mother's name. Also, it's also Ursa. That's another name of it. Ursa and Arcus. There's Hera. She's turned into a bear. So the son is Arcus. Basically, Zeus got everybody pregnant. And Hera was jealous, okay? Like, Zeus got turned into a horse. He got somebody pregnant. And then he turned into a raindrop and he got somebody pregnant. Those stories are crazy. Yes. Ursa is the bear. Ursa Minor. Yes. Is the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper. Yes. That's the story of it. And Persephone. Yeah, that's why I wanted to pull Persephone that day. I wanted to see, because Pluto, because that, I wanted to see, and I was shocked about that, Missy. Honestly, between you and me, like, well, between all of us, I mean, I will tell you guys, when I pulled Persephone's asteroid and I saw where it showed up in the 7th house, which rules an open enemy to summer, okay? And then I wanted to see, because of this yod here, the finger of fate, the finger of God, that yod is a finger of fate, joining the moon and the sun, connecting them to Pluto, okay, which is death on a chart, all right, represents either that a victim is under tremendous stress, or that a victim is under, and it's in the womb and in the tomb, okay, how it all turns out, the end of the matter, okay, in Capricorn. That is not good anytime Pluto is in Capricorn. Why? Because Pluto rules transformation, some type of trauma that our victim might be under, and Capricorn rules the physical body. So that's why I do not like that. That's why I wanted to see where Persephone was at. Persephone shows up over here. And at the end of it all, Pluto takes Persephone, okay? But her story ends up to be a happy one, all right? But, you know, we have to remember that the mythology behind it, we're doing it on a crime chart, okay? So it can be an indication of being taken, or that the end of the story is that Pluto has summer, all right? And there's 2 timestamps that I have on this chart that Pluto shows up at the end of it all, okay? So here's around 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock, Pluto well, I'd say between 3 and 4:45, Pluto has summer, okay? And then, actually between, like, I can take it back to 2:40 to 4:45. Pluto is very prominent, okay? Because he's hanging out in here, all right? And then after, let's see, after 8:30, Pluto goes into the 1st house, with Capricorn ruling the 1st house, and that's really not good. That's a time stamp on the astrology that lets us know that usually in astrology, I'm not saying that this is what happened, but in astrology, it means that you are no longer looking for a person that is alive, okay? At that point, that, you know, the astrology switches gears. The moon goes into the 8th house of death, and the moon is at a 29th degree, which is not good either. The 29th degree is another anaretic degree, so it's not good, okay? So that's why I wanted to see if she was taken, where did Persephone show up? Now, it can mean that she was just taken off that hill. It doesn't mean that she was kidnapped. It can mean that she was taken off that hill because Pluto has her. Okay, so she was taken off that hill somehow. All right? Whether it's a kidnapping or not, she was taken off that hill and Pluto has her. That's what the astrology is telling me. It could be a kidnapping. It could be that her parents took her off the hill. It could be someone else took her off that hill. I don't know. But it's an indication that she was removed off that hill somehow. Okay? Because that's basically what the astrology is saying. And that Pluto has her and has hidden her and has taken her away underneath. Okay? She's hidden. Nobody can find her. All right? That's what that means. Now, it could be a kidnapping. It could be a legit kidnapping. Or it could be that she was removed off that hill by someone. Okay? It could be the parents. It could be a neighbor. It could be someone that lived on that road. It could be a kidnapper. All right? But she was taken by Pluto in the end. Because that's what I have. Pluto is at the end of the matter. Okay? And that's why I wanted to pull Persephone. Because she's taken away somehow. Someone takes her off that hill. She's removed somehow. I want to fly out and do a live with Junie one day. That would be fun. That'd be so cool. I need to figure out how to share my screen. Somebody needs to give me a tutorial. Thank you, Aggie. I appreciate that. I don't know how to do like this whole YouTube stuff, guys. Like, I don't even consider myself a YouTuber. I'm just sharing, you know, I love to share stuff about spirituality. I love to share poetry. I love to share everything about the planets. I love to share astrology with you guys. I love to do tarot readings. So I really don't know what I am. You know, I'm a mixture of it all. And I love true crime. You know, my sun sign is in the 12th house. I have Pisces in the 8th house. So I'm very, very spiritual, okay? So I don't know really what I am. It's easier if I use StreamYard? Okay. I have to get StreamYard then. .22 miles. Oh, it's $25 a month? Dang, this Scribble Maps is like $130 a month or something like that, or $120 a month. Or maybe it's $120 a year and $29 a month or something. I can't remember. It's expensive. It's not cheap. So I'm going to have to break down and buy it eventually. Yeah, it's expensive. It's an expensive program. It lets you do like cars. I guess this program was invented because like it has like a little thing. They're like, what are you using this for? And it had like all these things like engineering, architectural design, building design, highway design and things like that. And I was like, astrology. I had to type it in because they're probably like, what the hell is she using this for astrology for? But that's, you know, that's what I'm using it for. So I think this program is for it's probably a program for engineers is what I'm thinking, you know, for people to design highways and cities and towns and excavation areas, you know. Yeah, I'm on a trial. Thanks, Missy. Appreciate you, honey. So Missy, you did see where it mapped out your area, honey? Did you see it, Missy? You did see it, right? Over here, where it mapped out the lines. You did see it, right? I want to make sure you saw it. So it's the 8th house of death and the north node. It gives me this little pie right here. Okay? That's where she was swimming. And there's that highway bridge. So there's a few areas I'm interested in around here. Did you get it? Okay. I know that would make Missy happy because she's been really focused on this area. So I wanted to show her the North Node. All right, so that's for now. I don't want to be on too long. I don't want to keep you guys. All right, I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Well, $10 a month isn't too bad. I mean, it just adds up, you know, like doing YouTube is expensive because I have all kinds of memberships and it does. It adds up. You don't realize it, but it does. But I mean, this is a program that I am going to have to invest in because I have so many maps already for Tennessee. Like, there's Sebastian Rogers. Wait, oops, sorry, you got frozen. There's Sebastian Rogers map. There's Trini. And I have a couple in Alabama. So here's Sebastian's chart. Same thing, the same river on his chart as well, you know. Good night, Aggie. Love you. Thanks for being here. All right, so here's Sebastian's chart. I'll show you guys that, and then we'll head out. All right, everyone. Blessings to you all. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye now. Take care of one another. Be good to each other. Love you all. Blessed be. Bye-bye.